Good afternoon, everyone. Xiao, Meek, Carlos, hello, Longan, hello, Chad Stacks, Fitzgerald, Razine, Feathers. Make sure everyone switches from top chat to live chat because YouTube seems to think that's a good idea to have as default. Man, what is top chat? How would they even know what the top chat is? It's just YouTube, man, making all these changes. Hey, Abyss, Karis, Jesse. All right, so I gotta I'm working on safe mode still. Need lots of different angles and shots of the roller coaster. So I've been slowly working on this forever, and one day it will come out. Chillin' Wild, hello. Would you ever collab with JReg? Depends. I've drawn like his little the logos, I guess, or the designs on their YouTube channel for their podcast. The one that he does with Art Chad. Maybe I'll get him to do a voice sometime in the future, something like that. But honestly, you know, it's been difficult for me as animation recently, so it's my output has been so slow. You know, it's hard for me to do collabs, you know, because it's like it's just so infrequent now. But anyway. I just need to look at some reference photos here. I kind of want to do something like this shot. Yeah, I think I'll do something like that. I'll just copy the image for Photoshop as a reference. What are you guys all up to today? I was just at the gym for about 3 hours. And then I went to the coffee shop. And now I'm here, drawing. Oops. Okay, so this is more like... I might just use this image and just get the line, the initial line that I need. That will help big time. How do you select who does the voices for your characters? Or is it just people you know who are willing? Well, I don't really have that many characters that need voices anymore, but like basically when I was looking for people, I was looking on like voice acting websites, and the problem I was running into was that a lot of cartoon voice actors had demo reels that were like only cartoon voices, like cartoony sounding voices. And there wasn't that many like actors that I found that had like normal acting, like regular normal acting. Like everything felt very forced and like cartoony and over the top, and that was very difficult. Or you find like an overabundance of people who do like commercial voice acting, like they sound like they're selling you groceries or like mattresses and stuff, and it kind of like sounds like that in their voice. So finding voice actors is actually really hard, or actresses. But when I did discover a couple people, so that I ended up using, basically, that I like kind of just like the voice, you know. And so I was using well, yeah, these days I don't really like last time I had to find a voice actor was like a couple years ago, because I've been like reusing the same people, or Carolina does the voice, or I just do the voice myself. And I was experimenting with some of the AI technology where I do the acting, but it's like in the voice of someone else. So like I did that with like Larry King, and I just wanted to like play around with that kind of stuff. Honestly, you know, the career path of being a voice actor is not looking good right now, because it's AI has made it extremely easy to like kind of like replicate anyone's voice, and of course there's like copyright and ethical problems around that, but there's also people who are willingly selling their voices to AI now, and you don't like, if you can just like act it out in their voice, you pay them, but like it sounds like them, you know what I mean? I don't it's gonna be a pretty hard career to get into nowadays. I don't think it's like something that's it was always kind of difficult, honestly, but now it's like I don't know, it's freaking impossible probably. That's one of the changes we're seeing these days, technology, significantly. You know, it would be great if like we could use AI to like color in the shapes that I draw without me having to do it manually, or like rig some sort of animation model like instantly. That's the kind of AI we should be having. But instead we get like the AI that like removes like creative stuff from people, like creative autonomy, whatever. I don't know. I'm still waiting on like actual useful AI for like, you know, I have been using like Claude G. You know, sometimes I get like a CVS file, like a spreadsheet file, and it's like formatted all wrong and stuff. And you can just like tell it to format it correctly, and it like does it in like 3 seconds. And that is quite useful. I mean, I had to do that for mailing out prints and stuff. It's just like addresses are all over the place, and it just like cleans everything up for me. Hey, Crab Lord. I always wanted to get into voice acting. It sounds so fun. Yeah, so I mean, like, if you want to get into it, I would just suggest just doing it for yourself for now. I mean, just do it. Just try it out for fun. Like, you can just do voice acting, like a radio play or something, you know, or whatever. Don't wait for someone to hire you. You know what I mean? It's like I don't know. There's like was that guy on YouTube that like does voice acting? It's like an Asian guy. I don't know if he like does it professionally. I think he does, probably. I don't know. Whatever. Feathers, I had an insight to the industry and it has been ruined and pays horribly. Check out the Bayonetta controversy. What's the Bayonetta controversy? So I got my like line here, but I think I need to redraw it now more, just like if it was like made out of wood. So it'd be like straight shapes. Nintendo made hundreds of millions, paid the longtime voice actress $3 grand. Yep. That seems about how it is these days, you know. But I mean, that's markets, that's supply and demand, you know what I mean? There's 1 trillion people out there doing voices now, and you always have to ask yourself, is the value that I'm providing, like, do I have any leverage with the value that I provide in whatever trade that I'm offering, you know? And if you pick a path that's like, you know, there's 1 trillion people out there doing the same thing, trying to make their break or whatever, it's just going to be difficult to ever make any sort of reasonable income from it. Any corporation, why would they willingly pay more if they don't have to? You know what I mean? And I know some people, it's like, that's not what people want, but that's reality, and you have to kind of face reality these days, because what people want isn't what they're going to get necessarily, you know? It's very tough. It's like, I wish people will, you know, it's like, I understand that it's like, it's not paid enough, but like, it's at the same time, it's just like, these are things, this is just the reality of the universe, you know what I mean? People get paid money to post feet pics on the internet. Doesn't mean it's, who's that musician? She said that she like, she makes more money posting pictures of her feet than she does of, like, her Spotify royalties, whatever. It's just messed up, but it's how it goes. She was the longtime voice of the entire series. It's just a clear shoulder brush. Yeah. That's the Japanese though, man. They don't care. They're all business. They're very corporate over there. Especially Nintendo. Nintendo specifically. Was it for the longest time you couldn't even like play video games, Nintendo games on YouTube? I don't know if that's still a rule. Like as a like it's a, maybe it is. Like Let's Play videos, like they wouldn't let you monetize them. Maybe that was I think that was a thing once, but maybe not anymore. So what would be really wrong is if they just like trained an AI on her previous recordings and then just used that for future videos. I'm pretty certain that wouldn't be legal because probably any agreement that she made with Nintendo in the past had no reference to AI and all that because the whole AI thing is like brand new. So they would really need to have to like draw out new contracts. Voice actors get snubbed all the time. Kojima always wanted big shot Hollywood actors in his game instead of David Hayter. I don't know who David Hayter is. Let me just look him up. Oh, the guy that does the voice for Solid Snake? Is that what it is? Well, I mean, I don't think Kojima is like obligated to use the same guy forever. I don't think he even has like the rights to use Metal Gear Solid anymore. But it would have been nice if he used his David Hayter again, I guess, in Death Stranding. But I think Kojima really wants to be like a Hollywood director, you know, and he's kind of... Hollywood is so risk adverse. They would never fund a movie called Death Stranding, yet Sony has enough chutzpah or whatever to fund something as bizarre as Death Stranding, and maybe the people who are in charge of Sony have a little bit more creative leeway than what's going on in Hollywood these days. Yeah, I don't know. I like the actors that Kojima has casted for Death Stranding. Who's that new guy though? Who's like in the Willy Wonka movie and Dune? I don't know his name. I forget his name. Apparently he's going to be in Death Stranding 2, supposedly. And I'm not convinced that guy is a great actor yet, so we'll see. Opinions change though. You know what's surprisingly though? What's that guy that was in that movie Good Time? And he played Batman in like the other Batman movie, the weird one that has the penguin in it. He's doing like voice acting for Studio Gilby as like the pelican in The Boy and the Heron. The heron, not the pelican. And apparently he did like an amazing job. I haven't seen that movie yet though. I don't know how to watch that. If it's on streaming at all? Probably not. There was a time when they had like all the Studio Gilby movies on Netflix, like a couple years ago. But then I canceled my Netflix after the, because once there wasn't that many good things on Netflix back then. I don't know if it's changed. Hi, Macaco. I guess there was tension because of how much David had helped to elevate his character, only then to have to re-audition for the same character leaves a bad taste. Hammy for real. Yeah, I can see that. I wonder how much of that was Kojima and how much of that was his producers, though. I don't know exactly the full story, and I don't know. Things are always, there's always, when a lot of money is involved, there's always shenanigans happening with producers and stuff. Do you ever see the movie Lost Highway? There's like, it's a David Lynch film, and there's like this scene where there's like a film director. Oh, is that Lost Highway, or is that Mulholland Drive? I think it might be Mulholland Drive. But anyway, there's like a scene with all these producers, and they force him to use a certain actress, and it's a really interesting, funny scene because of how surreal it is. But it's basically like an abstraction of reality. The Boy and the Heron is on Max. Oh, okay. Maybe I should get that for a little bit. The wild robot seems really derivative of Castle in the Sky. I have not seen the wild robot, but I have seen a Castle in the Sky. Mulholland Drive, that's the one, yeah. I feel bad for not doing my due diligence as an art fan, for not deep diving into David Lynch's work. Well, it's David Lynch's films are not for everyone, so I mean, if you know, but if you're gonna watch one, I suggest watching The Straight Story first. That's his like most normal film, and then check out like Lost Highway. That's a little bit more, it's weird, but it's like understandable somewhat, I guess. And then Mulholland Drive is one of my favorites. And then if you want to watch a really fucked up movie, you can watch Blue Velvet. That's like really weird. Probably don't watch that with your parents. It's just gonna make it awkward. And yeah. Thank you, Stop. What do you think of Jared's way of making the big Les shell? I find him using MS Paint and Audacity quite inspiring to make things my own way, then forcing myself to buy shit because it's professional. Honestly, like you know, limiting yourself to like the most basic tools will instill some sort of style, and it will make you question your decisions to work more efficiently, and not upgrading to something like, you know, and if you were to use some professional software like TV Paint or Toon Boom or Blender or whatever, you can be suffocated by the amount of options. And I'm not saying that everyone has to work this way, but I empathize with the method that in which he works, in which is that it's keeping things simple, and people enjoy looking at his animations because of the simplicity. So it's not necessarily holding him back. If anything, it's making him better, if that makes any sense. I will say though that it probably would just be a little bit easier if he used Photoshop with the timeline tool, but I'm not gonna say which is the best method. I prefer using Photoshop, but I don't know if he's actually still using MS Paint, but he could be. I don't know. At a certain point, if you ever become an artist or whatever, at a certain point you're going to start saying no to certain things. Like, I could spend forever learning new tricks on animation on YouTube and different software and different plugins and tools and stuff, but then, you know, I would just be learning forever and I wouldn't be creating anything. And you need to realistically work within your own creative capacity to start with and continue to produce and finish things. That's really the only way you're going to improve. You know, there's a lot of people on YouTube that obsess over technicalities and doing everything the right way and learning and learning and learning, but then they don't actually produce anything, and then they get burnt out because they get overwhelmed by options and choices. You know, sometimes knowing too much is a creative burden. And I actually believe this is applicable not only to drawing and animation, but probably filmmaking, like music composition. You know, like when I started making music for Interface, I didn't know like what a snare drum was, or I didn't know like really what tremolo versus legato, or like or like what even like register of notes, like what like tone, like in harmonics were. I didn't know anything like that for like violins. It didn't stop me from composing something in strings though. I just used kind of like the strings tool that was in Logic, right? And I mean, I could, in theory, go to YouTube and learn music theory first and study it and all that stuff, and then, but then you get caught up when you're composing music. You get caught up. Oh, is my E diminished? Like, is it resolving to whatever this chord or key? And you start thinking about all this technical crap, and it's holding you back. And I feel, for me personally, artwork is more of an instinctual thing, and you don't necessarily need to know everything. So long as you keep progressing in whatever medium it is that you're working in, and improving on what you've done before. It doesn't have to be a big step, but you'll eventually start to learn all the little tiny tricks and differences between things, and you'll pick up all those skills through time. Like, you know, like really, if you don't know anything about making music composition, you can get a glockenspiel and make a song with the glockenspiel, okay? It's like, you don't need to know music theory, just kind of listen to how it sounds, like what do you think sounds good, whatever, and just start from there, because getting bogged down with the technicals is like antithetical to creation. Yeah. Most music academia genres legit sound, and I don't want to be negative or like criticize people who decide to go through the music theory portion, but I know a lot of people, I've listened to music that from people who are composers, whatever, that went to like McGill or whatever, and like I'm listening to their music and it's just like, it just sounds so bland, you know, and I don't know what it is. Maybe it's like, I don't know. It's like it's something to do with knowing too much. It almost like it's just like you're saying, Vivica, it boxes you in a little bit. Okay, moving on to the next. So I should probably I need to like separate my layers here, because this is going to be annoying later. So this is the foreground. Hey, by the way, everyone, if anyone lives in Toronto, I'm going to be in Toronto next week, and if you want to say hello, I'll be there to say hello. I'm going to be at the Drake Hotel at like 1 p.m. There's going to be a panel presented by Digital First Creators Canada, and that same evening at 7 p.m. at the Paradise Theatre in Toronto, I'm going to be screening, along with a whole bunch of other creators, The Chimney Alfonso, A Date with Chimney Alfonso. And if you're interested in going, it's the tickets and the information you can find out at bufferfestival.com. So it's tickets are a little bit pricey, but you know, it's because it's kind of like an intimate sort of it's not like a big, it's not like Comic-Con or something. I mean, it's a little bit, it's small, but like I feel like it's nice. Like it's gonna be a nice venue. Paradise Theater is very cool, and the Drake Hotel is also like a just a nice place. Yeah, so that's it. I'm gonna be screening that, and then I'm gonna submit. I haven't. So I'm gonna Annecy. Their applications are like at the end of the month. I'm gonna submit that film to that as well. A Date with Chimney Alfonso, because that was I haven't released it publicly online. It's on the Patreon, right? But it's like private. So I think like once in a while I'm gonna do that, is just have like a Patreon only animation for about a year, and then so that way I can submit it to festivals, and so far this year it's screened in El Paso, Texas, and Ottawa, and it's going to screen, I think it might have already screened, not sure, in Switzerland, at this big animation festival over there. It's not part of the official selection in Switzerland, but it's part of their selection called Kill Your Darlings, which means it almost got into the competition, except it didn't. However, they're still going to screen the film in the festival, because apparently there were some curators that really wanted it to be in the festival, but it just couldn't make it. So I don't know. Sometimes that's a good thing. Like it's like in Annecy, they have the What the Fuck screening, which is the same sort of deal. They're not in competition, but they're like films that are like too weird or something, and they don't quite fit in with everything else. But they did like this really massive screening at this like huge theater, and it was packed, and like it felt like everyone at the festival was there that night. It was very cool and fun. Ottawa does the same sort of thing, actually. They have like a thing called Salon de Refusé, but I haven't been to that particular screening, but it's the same sort of deal where a lot of people just go to see the rejected films, and it's kind of like its own fun thing, you know? I was in Ottawa briefly for like 2 days for the Ottawa Festival. But I'm not really, I'm not really good at festivals. Like, it's such a social thing, and I get like drained mentally really quickly. I'm not like great at talking with people and that sort of thing, really. Better than I used to be, but... What? You were in El Paso? No, I missed it actually. I'm sorry, Feathers. I wasn't actually there though, so I didn't like go to visit. I mean, I wanted to, but it's like probably would have been a couple $1,000s, and I gotta, I guess I should apply for some grants. The Canadian government sometimes spends money like crazy, a little bit too much. But for people like me who are artists, they sometimes they like cover flights and stuff if you're going to present your film, whatever. And I haven't really been taking any advantage of that stuff, just because I've been too lazy to like put in applications, because it's like paperwork and stuff. Rocky Desert Flower. Yeah, maybe I'll be back in Los Angeles sometime. I don't know. I'm gonna be in New York City in the spring. I think March. Plans are still kind of like coming together, but I'm gonna be screening Interface at... I don't know the details really yet, so it's too early to say, but there's probably going to be a screening of Interface in New York City. And then later in the month, or maybe later, I don't know when, there's going to be a different thing where I'm going to be... Hopefully, this is all up in the air because we're still planning it, but we're going to have an art... There's a group art exhibition called Quantum Artifact. And I can send you the link to that. If I can figure out what the URL is. Just give me a second. Oh, it's quantumartifactnyc.com. So there's going to be other artists involved, and I'm hoping to have 3 new paintings that I will be presenting. But so far, I only have 1 new painting, but I'm going to work on the other 2. You can see it on Twitter or whatever, Instagram, if you're interested in seeing that painting. It's my naked body. Did not paint my ding-dong, though, so it's safe for work. I don't know, I wanted to paint like a figure, and I don't have any models to use. I guess I could have used Carolina, but didn't want to. But I might, for the next painting, I don't know what I'm going to do. I might see if I can like find someone, or because I don't know. We'll see. I haven't figured out what I want to do next, so. Kumaki, appreciate that, thank you. How many of your fan base do you have in Europe to hold a screening in, say, Oslo? I don't know. I mean, it's not really like... I don't like plan the screenings, really. It's usually like a festival reaches out to me, or I just apply, like I submit to some festival on a whim. If Oslo has like a big animation festival, then perhaps I could submit a date with Chimney Alfonso to it. But like the Paris screening of Interface, I didn't plan that. That was the festival and Flying Lotus decided to include it in part of a screening, and so then they just emailed me and asked if they could do that, and which was amazing. But a lot of these festivals I don't even really apply to anymore, which I just got lucky. I mean, people are just kind of, they want to see stuff there. I should try submitting something to Oslo though. I like to revisit, because I've been to Oslo once. You probably know that, Hammy, I think. For a friend's wedding, and Oslo is a very cool city. I like that city a lot, actually. I wish I could have spent more time there. It felt like very similar to Montreal in some ways, like in terms of like it just felt like a creative city, you know, and a little bit different, obviously, but it just, you know, I thought it was really a beautiful city too, and all the architecture was quite interesting. Kumaki, I don't use social media much, but I drew a homage to you and Mischief. Do you have a public email address or something I could send it to? Yes, you can send it to me at info@hexsystem.com. I'll definitely see that. Also, what fosters creativity in a city is the layout of civil engineering helps that it's about the same latitude. It is about the same latitude, isn't it? And I think it's something to do with being cold, you know? It's something to do with being cold. I think creativity you have to be cold. Like, I don't know, that's not true. I mean, there's like, obviously creative cities that are nice and hot and warm, but for me personally, I just find that it's difficult to work when it's like sunny and nice and warm out. This is a pretty slow drawing here, but would you come to Atlanta possibly? I would love to go. Maybe I'll, like, after this, I'll look up Oslo and I'll look up Atlanta, see if there's like animation related events or festivals, and try to submit some stuff to them. Do you have any degrees? I have a Bachelor of Fine Arts from NASCAD University in Halifax. It's like a small art school, Canadian art school. It's a pretty good art school. If you can stomach the extreme left-leaning politics, which are a little bit kind of permeate through the walls. You know, I'm pretty moderate, but I don't know. It's just it's become less about art these days and more about, I don't know, politics. I guess politics is art in some degree, but I spent most of my time in the film department there, though, which was different from the painting and ceramics, and it was kind of like a different crowd. And filmmaking is actually quite physically intensive as much as it is creatively, because you know, lugging around C stands and HMI stands and skylights and stuff like that is not exactly it's not exactly painting on a canvas. It's like the prof. And the thing is like I remember the whole time I was there, like all this equipment was stored on the 3rd floor or the 4th floor in the attic. And you'd have to, like, there's no elevator, and sandbags, like metal poles and HMI lights and stuff. It's just you get like a workout from going to art school. It's kind of not what I expected. And because I worked there too in the film cage, it was like double, because I'd had to like bring stuff up and down. Anyway, it's just yeah, so it was fun though. That was a good school, good art school. If I were to go again though, I would not go to the film department. I would just stick to the painting department, because that's kind of where my interests are these days, not so much filmmaking. And I feel like painting has just become very therapeutic and relaxing, and filmmaking is a lot of stress, honestly. It's so much stress. The one positive part of filmmaking is you meet so many different people and you make a lot of friends, and it's very teamwork involved. So as opposed to painting, which is really kind of like an independent sort of thing. Sure, you can make friends in the studio and stuff, but it's not like you have some sort of camaraderie with people because you filmed out in a farmer's field in like minus 15 degrees weather for like 8 hours. And you know, I have some stories. It was not exactly an easy degree, but I'm kind of glad it's over. Now I realize, you know, I'm not really into filmmaking so much because it's just how much work it is, like labor-intensive work. So that's probably why I got into animation. It's just easier to just draw things, you know. Like for my thesis film, I had to find so many different things I had to do. Like I had to book, you know, I had like find a bowling alley, I had to find a crack house, I had to find a restaurant. We had to get 30 actors. We had to feed the actors. We had to do auditions. We had to scout for locations. It was, I don't even know how I did it, honestly. And honestly, I was diagnosed with aplastic anemia after graduating, and I think it was probably induced from the stress. I should have just made my thesis film like way more simple. That was probably just, you know, an ego thing. In university, you try to like make something incredible, so you kind of like go all out and you go too far, but whatever. When did you graduate high school? I graduated in 2008, I think. I think that's the year I graduated. Or was it 2009? Like I don't know. Yeah, it's 2008. Or was it like the spring of 2009? I can't remember. Vivica Angel, I've started doing pyrography. What is pyrography? Is that the thing where it's like spirals and stuff? Like, let me just... Pyrography. That's not spirals. So I'm gonna look at the thing. Wood burn. Pyrography. Wood burn. Oh. Ah, yes. I heard about this. It's very dangerous too, though. So please, Vivica, please be safe. And I've heard about some people like electrocuting themselves from doing that. I'm sure you are safe and probably doing it correctly. I just, it scares me a little bit. Fitzgerald, I'm 34, so probably if you do the math, it's probably the same, right? I guess like. Yeah. 35. I'm like halfway to being 35. I think. Yes. Excuse me. Hey, Sammy, that's cool. I'd love to see that. Cherished Dempsey. Trying to get back into the habit of making art. I've been liking the convenience and ease of painting paint pens. Oh. You use like watercolors or paint pens? I don't think I've really used paint pens. Carolina used watercolor paint pens. What is your art style called? I don't really know. It's not really pixel art, but it's kind of like between pixel art and non-pixel art, because pixel art is more like you being very precise with where the pixels are, and I'm just kind of just drawing in a low resolution. And I don't even think it's really considered lo-fi either. I think it's just I don't know. I would just call it low resolution or something. There's an actual word for it, I think. I don't remember. Do you do these by hand in Photoshop? Instamat? Not everything I do is in Photoshop. However, a lot of all the base drawings are pretty much done in Photoshop. Anything you see anything that looks like it's drawn is probably done in Photoshop. Oh, I keep drawing on the wrong layer. I use a tablet with a pen. Cherish Dempsey. I think they're acrylic, literally just cheap paints you can get anywhere. I gotcha. Instamat. Are they animated in Photoshop too? Like frame by frame? Sometimes I do stuff frame by frame in Photoshop. Yes, like if I'm doing a walk cycle, I'll do the walk cycle, but I'll loop it in After Effects, so I'm not just drawing forever. You know, some of the like 3D camera movements and stuff, that was all done in Cinema 4D. Like I don't really like when there's like movement of the camera, like that's pretty impossible to draw. So I don't really. But more recently, I stopped using Cinema 4D, so because I don't really enjoy the 3D software at all. And it's like I've been talking about earlier. It's all about limiting yourself, and I think the 3D software was providing too many options for me, and it was making it less fun. Like sometimes it's the simple things that makes it fun, like just the simple, rough-looking animations. Have you ever tried Art Rage or Autodesk Sketchbook? I have never used it, and I haven't, no. I think it'd be super cool if you ever tried incorporating glow in the dark or color shifting paints in your paintings. You know, it is something I like to try experiment with a little bit. I have used glow in the dark paint actually on one of my paintings that someone bought. I wonder if they noticed. I didn't tell them that there's a glow in the dark paint in it, but maybe they like turned the what the fuck. Maybe they like see it glowing after, if they turn the lights out. But this one has like a layer that's kind of glow in the dark, the cerebral electricity painting, which I think is kind of fun because it's basically like an abstract shape thing, like energy source. So if it's like glowing, you know, subtly glowing, it's kind of a little ominous. The thing I don't like about glow in the dark paint though is that maybe there's like different types of it I'm just not aware of, but it's kind of like greenish looking, and I would love glow in the dark paint if it was like white, if it glowed white, you know. But maybe it exists. I just haven't looked. Oh, Instamat. I guess you got lucky because I answered those questions that are in the FAQ. Usually I don't answer them, but I guess every once in a while I feel like answering. Fitzgerald, yeah, Beach Ghost on Insta does that exact same style of Kaiju and Xenomorph Predator heads on anime girls with the exact same. Oh, okay, you guys are talking about something. I'm not really paying attention. Scribe, what inspired you to make the Umami character? What do you mean the Umami character? Are you talking about Mischief? The pink clown guy? You can create a great effect using neon pens and pencils so that when you hit with a UV light, it completely changes the feel of it. Oh yeah, I got you, yeah. You know, I will say though, I do experiment with some stuff in the art store, like crackle paint, I know, or and some like the glow in the dark paint and stuff. But I do think that, and this is probably going to sound a little bit elitist, but sometimes I see that stuff being used in paintings, and it kind of looks a little bit gimmicky. You know what I mean? So I try, if I do use them, I use them sparingly, or not at all. You know, like I was thinking I was gonna do the cube that was in the new painting I made. The cube, I was gonna do it with crackle paste, so that the cube kind of has like this crackle to it. But then I just thought, you know, I don't know. It's like, what is that like? Does it conceptually, what does that add? You know, does it add, like, what does it say when you use crackle paste? Are you saying there's like crackling in the cube? Like, it's just, I guess it'd just be a purely aesthetic kind of choice for me. I feel like it was, if it doesn't, like, if I feel like this isn't not like adding to the message or the feel or the mute, I don't know. I don't know. I'm very trying to be sparse with that kind of stuff in the art store, so I don't go too crazy with it. I think like that stuff, it can be used, just used sparingly, you know. That's all I'm trying to say, really. There's a lot of different options in the art store though, like all those sorts of like different weird things, you know. I guess I associate that with a lot of kind of like art that you see at like art like drinking events kind of thing, where it's just more of like it's like a fun thing to do creatively, but it's not like I'm really trying to be like more academic painting, you know, and I guess that does sound it's like it's a little bit elitist, but you know, it's the way it is, I guess, you know what I mean? So if I have any, if there's any like special tool or acrylic medium or whatever, I gotta be very careful about what I use, and I try not to use it too much. A lot of times I'm just trying to replicate like artists that I look up to and stuff, and I don't see a lot of them using special mediums like that, you know. If anything, they use like the opposite of what a special medium is. Like Francis Bacon, for instance, wouldn't even gesso his paintings. They would just be on the back side of a canvas. Like he used the wrong side of the canvas, and then he would not gesso them. And intentionally, obviously. It's like he knows what he was doing. But it's I guess it like it gave it like a certain look, a roughness, you know, but it doesn't make his paintings last very long. I mean, like they're very fragile, basically. So if you ever see like a Francis Bacon painting, there's a very good chance that it's like in a glass frame, because of the way that he prepared his canvases, which was basically to not prepare them. Or anyway. So I gotta cut out this little bit of the railing because I want it to be on its own layer, so this doesn't cause me problems later when I'm trying to animate. Yeah, it's funny, Crab Lord. Do you have any advice for someone who wants to get back into art but can't find the motivation? I don't really have any advice. That's the you know, I wish I had endless motivation. Otherwise, you can't wait to be motivated if you want to create art. You have to just do it regardless if you're feeling motivated. So if you just wait around to feel like you're motivated, you're never going to really produce anything. And so there's no magic sauce to being motivated. You have to literally just sit down and force yourself to do something. And in time, you will find that you don't need the motivation. You develop a habit and you want to do it, or you're having fun doing it, you know? You got to close the internet, close the distractions, don't look at your phone. Try to draw something or whatever it is you're trying to do. And there's nothing like you're never going to be motivated in the right mind, you know. And I succumb to that a lot sometimes because I'm waiting, like I need to be in this certain mood in order to draw things. But if I did that, interface would never have been completed, you know. There was some days where I just had to just force myself to get up and just treat it like a day job, you know. And that's the sad fact of creating artwork is it's not like all moments of inspiration. It's the putting in labor just like any other sort of job. How do you get back in the habit? You really just have to sit down and just start drawing stuff. There's no, like I'm saying, like there's no magic combination of things you do, really. You just sit down. For me, what helps, I find, is opening Photoshop, closing the internet and stuff, and turning Spotify on, just listening to music. Then it helps me focus on just drawing. Scribe. I mean, it's I feel like this is kind of I hear this a lot from other artists, you know. It's not, you have to just make the time to sit down and just force yourself to do it. And even if you don't feel like it's in the mood, that's kind of the way to produce art. And not everything you make is going to be good, you know. I draw a lot of things and I scrap them. I work on a lot, I waste a lot of time. It's, you know, making things and then it just not, I don't use it for anything, right? And especially music. There's like, for every track that I release on my channel, there's like probably 10 other tracks that I work on for quite a while sometimes, and then I just reject them because they're not good. They're actually not that good. And it's hard to tell what is good or not while you're working on it. You really need to wait a couple weeks, and you need to have some distance between when you're working on something and when you review it to be able to tell if it's like good or not, you know what I mean? And I feel like that's an important step in the creative process, is looking over the stuff that you've already made and determining whether or not it's worth releasing. And some musicians would probably argue against that, and they say, oh, just release anything you make, doesn't matter, it's all about numbers and stuff. But I do think that it's harder to, like, that's kind of the mindset I used to have with my music, but nowadays I feel I'm a lot more selective, and if I do produce something that's music related, I want it to be feeling cohesive and connected together, and I feel that it made a difference. Like in the last album I made, the Spiritual Paralysis one, I felt strongly about every track, and aesthetically and musically they sort of felt like they were connected. And I feel like the response to that album has been stronger than some of the EPs and stuff I've made in the past. So it was more kind of just like, I just slapped it together, sort of, you know. I'm not saying I just slapped the EPs together, but like it was a lot more, it was just like less, I didn't think about it too much, you know. As much as people like to say that music is all, I feel like there's a strong like aesthetic part to music that isn't auditory. It's like visual, and so even just doing the artwork for it has to be a certain, it has to like match the feel. Some musicians just put whatever on their album art and it doesn't make any difference because the music is so good. But for me, I feel like my music is not so accessible. It's like a little bit like not that many people listen to instrumental music. So if I'm gonna put music out, I just pay attention now a lot more to how it presents beyond just the actual music. All right, everyone. I think I'm kind of like running out of energy now, and I feel like I got my railings in, and they look nice. Oh, and I got to do like the rest some other day. Let's see if there's any other questions before I leave. Can you listen to It Feels as Deep as the World? I'll check it out, but I perhaps on Spotify. As an old guard musician, I specifically only work as a session recording musician, and I'm happy to do it. I don't release any composition unless I know the people I'm with are on board. Right on, man. How did you come up so this is the last question I'm going to answer before I leave. How did you come up with the idea for cerebral electricity in your series? And it wasn't really, I didn't think about it at all when I made it. I was just kind of like, you know, like in Memphis design, there's kind of like that look. There's like kind of like that like weird, sometimes you see it in Memphis art, but basically aesthetically, like I was like using shapes just for fun. I wasn't thinking about it too much. But see how like there's like this squiggly black and white thing in the background? Or like here, it's kind of like right here. That's like something I was trying to replicate. And then I later on in the series, maybe like I decided to make it become like, it was just kind of like randomly in the eyes of objects or like on the ground somewhere and glistening. And I thought, well, maybe that's like kind of like some sort of life force or can be like a metaphor for something bigger, which it ended up being. But I wasn't thinking too much about it. You know, I was just kind of releasing things really quickly and trying to just base things off of mood and feel. So that's my answer for that. All right, everyone. That's it for tonight. Have a good one. And I'll catch you all next